Welcome back to Forgotten Hollywood. It seems to be common knowledge that Hollywood has completely lost touch when it comes to interesting and original stories. One glaring reminder of this is the relationships between the heroes and the villains. These days, it's hard to even tell them apart, especially with the growing trend of the sympathetic villain and the overly flawed hero. As the saying goes, iron sharpens iron. In the world of writing, this translates to the stronger the villain, the stronger the hero it takes to defeat them. But since modern writers seem to have forgotten how to write well-crafted and strong heroes, it stands to reason that the villains end up being flat and boring. Take the recent Barbie movie. The hero has all the strength and power of a butter knife. So, it's a good thing her opponent is almost literally a marshmallow. It wasn't that long ago that this wasn't the case. Barbossa was a competent and dangerous pirate captain back in 2003. Well, 2023's Captain Hook, played by Jude Law, would have been beaten by a visit from his mommy. You think I'm exaggerating? The character was an emotional wreck, bitter at Peter for not letting him go home when they were done playing. He's an overgrown child. If you want a pirate, look no further than the Wrath of Khan. Now, that was a captain that was ruthless.
Ah, Kirk, my old friend. Do you know the Klingon proverb that tells us revenge is a dish that is best served cold? It is very cold in space.
Another glaring example of this problem is the Disney Star Wars. The heroes are wooden, and the opposition's such a joke that they had to bring back one of the most iconic sci-fi villains outside of Darth Vader. If you want to go back to the original, Darth Vader was dangerous, calculated, skilled, and powerful. This is a man who killed his own underlings that failed him in front of their successors. Fast forward and you have a general that gets flustered by a phone call. Colonel Klink would have handled it better.
Oh no, Hogan. You just wanted to annoy me, get me upset, but it won't work. Good night, Colonel. These has-beens will do anything to get attention. Schultz, I really believe that Hogan is cracking up.
Still convinced I can't escape, aren't you?
Hogan, how many times do I have to tell you no one ever escapes from Stalag 13?
Care to make a little bet on that?
Now, there are some movies that don't seem to have a villain, or the villain is someone or something that is distant and faceless. This is the case with Top Gun Maverick. This vague enemy is hardly seen in the movie outside of the climax, but the tension is brought about by conflict with characters on Maverick's own side, such as Admiral Cyclone Simpson. This brings up the interesting distinction between villain and antagonist. Villains are bad guys, while an antagonist is a source of conflict without malice. My favorite example of this is from the original Perry Mason. It has become a trope to have bumbling, incompetent, or corrupt lawmen and officials. So it's nice to see that Lieutenant Tragg and District Attorney Berger are sharp, competent, and most importantly, honest.
Lieutenant, I think you're going to find there's a very delicate point in this case.
I take it you mean the sleepwalking. Well, I've got a little tip for you. 10 minutes after you left Mr. Cole's house this morning, our friend Maddox had something to say.
Really?
He's ready to swear that last night he saw your client walk across the patio toward Philip Kendall's room, and he was wide awake.
In the past, most villains were also sharp and competent, though rarely honest. Modern ones that fit this description usually end up being the one the audience is supposed to be rooting for, such as Elphaba, Cruella, and Maleficent. Even the latest version of Ursula, who was still undoubtedly evil, was more sympathetic than King Triton. The very traits that made them dangerous have been flipped to make them best in show. It's not to say that you can't have an interesting villain or that the bad guy can't have a change of heart. I just find it strange that we're supposed to root for the psycho who hired men to kill puppies.
If we make this coat, it would be as if I were wearing your dog. Woof, woof.
Well, that's my take on things. At least I can escape the modern form of bad guys. So for some actual dangerous villains, you know, the kind you love but you still don't want to succeed, like Wild Wild West Dr. Loveless. This one, not that one. How do you find good villains? Well, a good rule of thumb is to look for something made prior to 2010. But really the best thing to do is look at the hero, because it takes a great hero to defeat a great villain. Thanks for watching. Who's your favorite on-screen villain? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Click the bell for notifications, and I will catch up with you next time.